Welcome to another edition of the Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. What is going on, my fellow resilient rebels? I think that's kind of the way I want to open the show from now on. I just like that ring, resilient rebels. We are rebels of regular society, of things that are going on to live a better life. We need to do things backwards. We don't do things as we're told. We try out new things all the time. We want to be prepared for catastrophes, such as with the content which we're going to talk today about emergency food storage preparedness buyer's guide. And I don't know, I just really like the ring of resilient rebels. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's get on with the show. So yeah, I want to talk about preparedness, and I want to talk about food storage and kind of like what I do. I know a lot of people are new to this type of thing, and I guess I just must come out and say it. I never even knew. I guess I'm a sort of a prepper, not like those crazy guys with bunkers and everything, but I'm getting damn close, right? But I'm a little freaked out about the supply chain shortages with food and stuff like that. But you know what? Even if nothing ever happened, it's just really convenient to have an extra surplus of food. You get bored of things, you can try something up. Maybe you forgot an ingredient and you just don't really want to make the meal that you thought you were going to make, but you can go to your pantry and you got a whole bunch of extra stuff. It always alleviates that stress and that kind of problem. Also saves you a lot of money. But let's get into the buyer's guide and kind of what I do. And the very first thing that I want to share is buy what you eat what you store. A lot of preppers are going to tell you guys the same kind of thing. The reason why they're going to say that, though, is that a lot of people buy a bunch of junk that they don't eat. Campbell's soup, ABC, tomato soup, whatever's out there, just stuff. Like, you got to buy, to the exception of a few things, which I'm going to bring up here today. But yeah, you want to make sure that you get like a food log. Look at stuff that your kids like. It also goes to not just what you eat, but what does your family eat, right? And let's not forget about our pets. I don't even know if I put that in here today. But if you got a dog, a hamster, a goldfish, a cat, you want to make sure that you've got enough food for them as well. And so buy what you eat what you store. It's going to save you a heck of a lot of money, a lot of space, one less thing that you got to do. So get yourself a journal and figure out what it is that you'll actually eat, right? We get hungry, we'll eat just about anything in the worst case scenario, right? But why live that way? Why go and spend that stuff so that you may have to end up throwing it away? One of mine, I'm going to just come off the bat, is canned chicken. I really do not like canned chicken. I don't know what it is, the texture, the flavor and everything. It's not horrible, but let me tell you guys ways that you can use things that you think that you don't like canned chicken. You can actually add that into like a soup, right? If you made some chicken noodle soup or something like that, the chicken just kind of floats around in little clusters and stuff, and you can't really tell the difference. Maybe you could make like a chicken salad sandwich, right? Mix it with some mayo or whatever, but I don't really care for that too much. But every once in a while, I know that these cans will last, some of them a year, 2, 3 years old. But I'll take it once a year or about twice a year, and I'll make something that I don't really eat all the time, right? I'll do like actually another good one, which I'm going to do soon with my canned chicken, is just mix it with a bunch of barbecue sauce and then fry it up in a hot skillet and just make sloppy joes. That's another great one. The barbecue sauce gives it that flavor and everything. It's already all shredded up and cooked, so it's a very easy meal, and we just kind of get rid of it. But the thing is, what I like, though, is keeping lots of diversity in proteins, right? Because we want to keep things interesting. That's what I want to share with you guys here today. If you just got a bunch of frozen burger and you got a bunch of tuna and stuff like that. I don't know about you guys, but doing extreme money saving techniques in my life, I have lived off tuna for like a month. I lived off protein powder smoothies and stuff like that for lunches for years, and I just got burned out. So I'm not against it, but if we don't have to, why would we do that? So how do we keep food interesting? With spices, right? So Larry's, and we have no sponsors, guys, actually pay to be here. But I keep myself a good handy amount, and I buy in large bulk and no added or no MSG, which is kind of hard to find for the, I can't remember, there's the Larry's salt. It's the orange one. It's got a lot of paprika and stuff, has its own flavor. There's also, I think, Larry's, garlic salt. It has little flakes of parsley in it. And I found some that don't have MSG, or at least added MSG. But I got garlic salt. I got Larry salt. I got smoked paprika, smoked salt, which I haven't tried yet. I've been hearing about that it gives this flavor. I never even knew it existed. So I'm going to give that one a shot. Pepper, of course. Oregano, thyme. We're getting into more of our herbs, onion powder, garlic powder, all those kind of things, sun-dried tomatoes. You can keep a variety of like rosemary, all these different things to actually add to keep food interesting in case that time ever did come where you have to, like I said, use stuff that you don't particularly like. Or if you're going to use the same thing, like say chicken for a week, it ended up, you can use the Lari salt, which will completely change the flavor of it. It'll be something completely different. Whereas the next day, if you use smoked paprika and say garlic salt, these different variations with some oregano, you could actually make some Italian flavor to the meat. So you see where I'm going. It's really nice to keep these seasons, the seasonings up in very large containers. That's what I buy off Amazon or over at Costco or something like that. And I keep this in rotation, and I just keep filling up my little jars. I've got maybe like a pound of each of like smoked paprika, garlic salt, Larry's, all those kind of deals there. And I just keep those in my pantry. And when I notice it gets about halfway through, I'll just go ahead and buy another one because I'm going to use this stuff anyways, right? Not reuse, but use. So that's the thing that we want to do is again, buy what you eat and eat what you store. And keep these things in rotation so you never run out. So it's basically a lot of this stuff. It's not really preparedness. It's just buying extra things that you're already going to get anyways, and you can buy them in bulk and get them at a discounted price. Now, dry food and grains. I've been trying to do some weight loss where I do like keto, paleo kind of deal thing. So, but I did have quite of a scare, last year, I think it was, with the truckers' strike and some supply chain issues. So I went ahead and got myself probably about 50 pounds of jasmine rice. So I don't really eat too much of dried foods and grains, but I think that they're handy to have. I was given a whole bunch of dried beans. Again, I don't really eat those type of things. They're pinto beans. But you know what? In a pinch, a type of guy like me likes to take care of his community. And I'll actually give those away to people I see who are struggling and stuff like that. Or keep some in case people did, if the crap hit the fan, you can at least give them a pound or two of beans and just say, hey, here's some stuff for your family, go eat. It makes you feel good, right? I know at least it does for me. So keeping some stuff basically that you're not necessarily going to eat, if you can acquire it for very cheap or free, keep it and store up. Basically, you're prepping for other people who don't know how to take care of themselves, right? They'd be super happy to get a pound of dried beans. Some stuff I do use, like quinoa, is a very, I'm not sure if this is a grain. I guess there's some debate about it, if it's paleo or not. The quinoa is pretty good. And the thing about these dried foods is they store a really long time. So they're kind of cool things to have around. Nuts are really good. I use a lot of almonds. Cashews. I've got honey roasted, salted cashews, stuff like that. And these things, if you don't open the container, will last like a year, 2 years. Once it goes over about a year, I try to write the date on a marker so it's nice and bold on the label. So I go to my pantry and I can see, this stuff's starting to go. And I'll just throw them. Actually, I'm broadcasting live from my pickup truck right now. And actually, I don't want to make too much noise, but I've got like 2 bottles of nuts that I have in here. And I just grab these things periodically as I'm driving, for a snack at work and things like that. And I get rid of them and I keep replacing them. All right. Powdered protein I mentioned. This is probably one of my favorites. Powdered proteins they can last a really, really long time. You can mix them with water. You can do many, many things that are just wonderful. I actually keep like boxed milks, like coconut milk, almond milk, and things like that. And you can literally just get a mason jar, like I have for those of you watching here, with a BPA-free plastic lid or a stainless steel lid. Just shake it, and you've got yourself an instant meal. What's really nice is they're lightweight. If you ever had to go on foot or something, or what. And I get mine. They're plant-based, organic chocolate and vanilla. And they have them at Costco. Usually they're around like $35. They just went on sale the other day for like $23, right? I think it was like $8 to $10 off. I went and bought myself like 4 of each. These things, as I said, store well, as long as you don't pop the cap. If you're living in humid, high humid areas, and I live off these things. That's how I save a lot of money when I'm in a pinch, or actually when I'm wanting to just save money for investing and things like that. I'll take my food consumption levels down and use such things as vanilla and chocolate protein powder, which actually helps me to maintain weight. It's very easy I don't need refrigeration for it. So they're really, really cool stuff. Canned foods is my next. As I mentioned the chicken already, I mentioned about the tuna. One of our favorite is tuna with almond flour crackers or cassava crackers. tuna with cream of mushroom. Mix those two together, add some pepper. It's kind of like clam chowder, but made with tuna. And put a little bit of cheese on top if you have it, and it's wonderful. But I keep a lot of these things, refried beans, coconut milk, masala sauce, Alfredo sauce, tomato sauce, all these kind of spaghetti sauce, which I didn't put on here. And I keep a lot of those things stored. They'll last for years. But it's really helpful even around the house. Like the other day, I got really tired and I just chopped up some frozen chicken breast that I had in the freezer, added a little bit of some masala sauce with some, which I didn't put in here too, I did put coconut milk, a little bit of coconut cream on it, and mixed up this Indian food with just chopped up chicken. Had some leftover asparagus and dumped that. So that's all really we had. It was like a paleo style dinner. It actually came out really good. So I love having all these different sauces and everything, because again, if you had like rice or you had like spaghetti noodles, you can make Alfredo, you can make regular tomato based, you can make masala. One of the coolest things I just found was Thai coconut, curry. And I'm really excited. Never really cooked with curries before, but get a lot of these different varieties of stuff that you can tantalize your taste buds with, especially in an emergency situation. A really good one to have is honey is my next one. Really good stuff to barter with. I don't know if I have on this thing though for emergency food, but just for emergency in general. Tobacco, if you ever seen somebody who's having a nicotine fit and we have a shortage of something, they don't have tobacco, you can trade, you can get your roof fixed or your engine replaced or something for a pound of tobacco. Just buy yourself some cheap stuff. I know you're not going to use it. Just throw it over aside. And you can use that for bartering in the future if you ever so chose to. My other one, though, is like sugar and honey. Those are just good things to have. I brew a lot of kombucha, so I have about maybe 2 pounds of sugar always in the house. And I get a lot of the raw honey, and I keep that in the house as well. It's things we're already using, like I said, and really brightens up the day, especially if there was, for preparedness. If something happened, a spoonful of honey makes everybody smile. Box foods I have on here, broths and milks and stuff like that. I did mention almond milk, coconut milk. There's oat milk. There's ways you guys can make the stuff yourself too. Like oatmeal is really, really easy. Store your dried oats with water, and that's all just store them separately, not in water. But literally, you can mix these things up with water and actually make your own milk out of dried oats. But yeah, broths is another one. I usually save a lot of mine when I'm using my cookware to make, like, say, I'll boil like some beef or something like that, or like a tri-tip. I keep all the fat and I store all that stuff in my freezer to make for broths. I just add a little bit of the juices that you use to boil any types of meats, like chicken or beef, pork, whatever. And I've got plenty of that. But I also bought myself a lot of boxed broths. There's bone broth, chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth. Keep these things. They come in little tiny quart size paper, like wax paper, cardboard containers, and those things are really cool to have around. Freezer variety, meats, vegetables, fruits. I think that's a given. You definitely want to have stuff, get it organized as far as dates to make sure stuff doesn't get freezer burned, especially like fish and stuff like that. After about a year, I think you definitely want to eat it. I think if it's packaged up correctly, I think you might be able to get about 2 years, but I don't like to play with fish that long. I hear different variations on how long you can keep it. But one of the things that got me with freezer foods was vegetables, because in a shortage, vegetables aren't going to keep very well. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to store, right? It gets to the store, it rots. By the time it gets to the store, if it's not in, if you live in someplace like Arizona or even in the tropics, that food's just going to instantly start rotting. It needs to be refrigerated and constantly refrigerated. So flash frozen fruits and vegetables are really nice to have in case the crap ever did hit the fan. And good, as I said too, like the other day I thought I had enough broccoli and I was making a paleo chicken Alfredo, which I don't use noodles, I use just broccoli. I ran out of fresh broccoli and I forgot, you know what? I got frozen broccoli. So I just went over to my freezer, pulled out a bag of flash frozen broccoli, boiled it and added it to my food, and there you go. Dinner was served and we had plenty for everybody. We weren't shy, right? And I just went and replaced it as soon as I went to the store the next day. So things to take consideration for. Leftovers for if crap hits the fan days, and it doesn't have to be a catastrophe, right? For emergency preparedness, just days where like I said, when you're tired. I usually cook a lot of extra of whatever it is that I'm making, like soups or pastas or, a hamburger or whatever. And I'll just freeze that stuff in Ziploc bags or seal a meal or in a mason jar. And I have tons of stuff for that day where I'm just tired, or if I ever got sick, I can literally go to the freezer, just pull out a large, half-gallon mason jar, set it on the sink, let it thaw out, pour it into bowls. If it's worst case scenario, pop it in the microwave, and look, we got dinner. And it's fresh dinner at a fraction of the cost, right? It's already been, it's all organic, it's all fresh. I made it myself. A lot cheaper than buying the little tiny Campbell's cans. Dehydrated items is on my next list here. Fruits, jerky, vegetables, powdered milk. Powdered milk, I guess, in a pinch. It lasts for a very long time. You could use it in your garden. I don't really care for it too much. I don't really care for dehydrated fruits. I don't really care for jerky too much unless it's done right. It's always really sweet. And dehydrated vegetables like mushrooms, green beans, and stuff like that, they just don't taste the same. Like, I think it's wise maybe to have some, but depending on where you live, as I said, with moisture issues, if you can get a really good seal meal and all the energy and time it takes to dry stuff, it takes like to do fruits like 10, 12 hours. It's a long undertaking. Unless you're doing it with a solar dehydrator, I think it's probably worth it. But even then, the time it takes, and in my opinion, when you take like bananas or mangoes and stuff like that and you dehydrate them, it crystallizes the sugar, and I'm not sure if it's as healthy as the raw sugar from the plant. So just my opinion anyways. All right. In my vehicle, I have some stuff as well. I have nuts. I have that powdered protein. I have boxed milks. I have the jar, a mason jar with a lid. I've got protein bars in the back here. I also have 6 gallons of water in these glass jugs that I maintain in there. Reason why I put in glass jars, I have 3 gallons, is that it doesn't matter if in the middle of summer it gets 100 degrees, my water flavor doesn't change. Keep water in a plastic bottle and see what happens. It's horrible. Putting them in the glass containers, it stays nice and fresh. As soon as it cools off in the morning, it's still the same as it was in water. Doesn't really spoil, guys, as long as it's not sitting in the sun getting algae and stuff growing on it. But yeah, I keep 6 gallons in my truck at all times. I work in construction. I own my own business and everything, so I'm always out and about. And I keep recirculating this stuff. But I also have myself a little mini water filtration system as well in my truck, a little hand pump that's proven effective, 99.99%, getting rid of Giardia and other bacteria. So I can literally take this thing into the pond that exists down the street from me over here and probably pump out water and get a drink of water there. So those are just kind of some of the stuff I think that I just wanted to go over. Emergency food storage preparedness buyer's guide. Only you know what you're going to eat. Here, I just gave you guys a lot of the stuff that I use. Hopefully that I helped you guys out as far as, if we recap over this, having enough spices and stuff like that to make food interesting so it's not so boring. Also, I think a very powerful takeaway on this is keeping raw vegetables and fruits in your freezer besides just meat. We want to stay healthy. I don't know about you guys, but I've eaten just a meat diet and it plugs me up just to come out and say it, right? I like to have an even amount of nutrition in my life, and I think that I do enjoy plants and mostly fruits and meats and stuff like that, but keep a lot of those things. Nuts and everything are really good, and like I said, weird stuff you can think about: sugar, honey, tobacco. These are good trading things, right, that you can use in your neighborhood, and things that will really help out. Maybe even get yourself some candies or something like that. I don't know, some sweet stuff. So guys, that's the show. I hope that this, you guys really need to take this in consideration. We never know what's going to happen. But what I like about what I shared about with you guys today is that it doesn't matter whether the crap hit the fan or not. We're saving money. We have a stockpile of food, meaning that if anything did happen, we're stress-free, right? We're like, you know what? I think I've got enough for about 60, 90 days. It's, you know what? If it did, we're just fine. That's the feeling on my side of the fence right now, right? And if you get bored, there's always such a variety of food to eat. You always have something going on, and it just makes life fun. It makes it less stressful, and you actually save money. And I can't think of a better. Why would we not do this? If you think that I'm wrong, please let me know in the descriptions below. And I hope the show was great for you guys. All right, guys, that's the show. I want to thank you guys, each and every one of you, for taking the time out and being here today. And if you guys can, give me a thumbs up. a thumbs down. If you did give me a thumbs down, please let me know why. I love to hear all your guys' opinions, but it really helps me out. That's all I'm asking is if you guys like and share, comment on the show. It helps the algorithms for this show to get known. That's what's going to keep the lights on around here. So guys, there's an email down below in the description. If you guys want to make any comments, just say hello, give any suggestions. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. And human up, my friends.